So how do you live a long and healthy life? The key lies in maintaining a strong cardiovascular system and a well-functioning brain. In other words, your heart and blood vessels need to stay healthy and clear. If you're dealing with heart disease, clogged arteries, high blood pressure, stroke, or any cardiovascular-related condition, then this video is going to be extremely valuable for you. I'm going to show you 3 powerful ingredients and how to combine them into one simple meal that can significantly lower your risk of heart attack and stroke. First up is extra virgin olive oil. It's packed with powerful antioxidants like polyphenols and vitamin E. They act like a rust-proofing coat, helping to protect the delicate inner lining of your artery walls from inflammatory damage, keeping them flexible and supple. Beyond that, olive oil plays a crucial role in balancing your blood fats. It helps lower LDL cholesterol, which is like the bad gunk that can build up and narrow your arteries. At the same time, it supports HDL cholesterol, which acts as a professional cleanup crew, gathering the bad cholesterol and removing it from the arteries. It also helps lower the level of triglycerides, another type of fat in the blood that can contribute to the risk of plaque buildup. Finally, the polyphenols in olive oil have another special ability. They help the walls of your blood vessels to relax. When blood vessels are relaxed and wider, there is more space for blood to flow, which reduces the pressure on the vessel walls. This is a key mechanism that helps support blood pressure control and reduces the burden on your heart. Chia seeds may seem tiny, but they impact the body in 2 incredibly effective ways. First, they are a rich source of plant-based omega-3 fatty acids, a type of essential fat renowned for its powerful anti-inflammatory abilities. Controlling inflammation is a foundational element for protecting the health of both the heart and the brain. The second and most unique mechanism comes from their abundant soluble fiber. Our bodies don't have the enzymes to digest this type of fiber. Instead, it travels intact to the large intestine and becomes a precious food source for the trillions of beneficial bacteria living there. Imagine you are fertilizing the garden of good bacteria inside your body. When nourished, these bacteria produce incredibly beneficial compounds called short-chain fatty acids, the most important of which is butyrate. Butyrate is recognized as one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatory substances produced by the body itself, helping to reduce inflammation not just in the gut but throughout the entire circulatory system.
In addition, when chia seeds meet liquid, they swell and form a gel in the stomach. This gel helps you feel full longer and slows the absorption of sugar into the bloodstream, which in turn helps to balance insulin and glucose levels. This is very beneficial for weight management, another key factor in reducing stroke risk. And cayenne pepper. The active compound that gives cayenne pepper its heat is capsaicin. Capsaicin has studied effects like helping to boost metabolism and stimulating the body to produce nitric oxide, a molecule that helps widen blood vessels to improve circulation. However, there is one property of capsaicin that requires caution: its natural blood-thinning ability, which helps prevent the formation of blood clots. Please consult your doctor before using it. And cayenne pepper lowers cholesterol levels as well as prevents plaque buildup in the arteries, reducing the risk of heart disease and atherosclerosis. If you are trying to lose weight, cayenne pepper will certainly boost your metabolism. I have shared 3 ingredients with you. They are very powerful. Here's how to safely and effectively combine these 3 ingredients to significantly reduce your risk of stroke and heart attack. So here is what you need to do. Instead of the idea of taking a shot of oil and seeds, a much more effective and sustainable method is to incorporate them into your meals. For example, picture a breakfast that starts your day right: a bowl of cooked oatmeal with 1 to 2 teaspoons of chia seeds added. After letting it sit for a few minutes, you'll notice the chia seeds swell, creating a thicker, more interesting texture. This isn't just a change in feel. This is where the mechanism of chia seeds begins to work. When chia seeds absorb liquid, they form a gel. This gel helps to slow down digestion, providing a long-lasting feeling of fullness and helping to stabilize blood sugar, avoiding those sudden spikes and crashes. This feeling of being full longer is a useful tool to help you naturally control your portion sizes in later meals without effort. You can apply this same principle to other meals. Add chia seeds to yogurt, blend them into a smoothie, or even use them as a binder in healthy baking recipes. As for extra virgin olive oil, use it as a finishing dressing for your food. 1 or 2 tablespoons of olive oil drizzled over your lunch salad or added to a warm soup right before eating will provide those healthy fats and antioxidants without having to drink a concentrated amount of oil. This integrated approach offers a dual benefit. You not only get the nutrients from olive oil and chia seeds, but you also combine them with other nutrient-rich foods like leafy greens, fruits, and whole grains.
When you adopt this integrated method, you are significantly supporting your digestive system. The fiber from chia seeds acts like a gentle broom in the intestinal tract, promoting regularity. At the same time, the healthy fats in olive oil help lubricate the digestive system, supporting peristalsis, the natural contractions that help move food along. For those who often experience constipation, bloating, or gas, incorporating enough fiber and healthy fats into meals can make a noticeable difference. A diet rich in these ingredients also helps to balance your energy. By stabilizing blood sugar and providing a slow-release source of energy from fats and fiber, you will avoid the tired, sluggish feeling that often follows meals high in sugar or refined carbohydrates. Instead, you'll have more sustained energy throughout the day. One of the most profound benefits of a diet rich in these ingredients is its ability to help the body control chronic inflammation. Low-grade chronic inflammation is the root cause of so many health problems, not just cardiovascular disease, but also joint issues and immune system problems. The polyphenols in olive oil and the omega-3 fatty acids in chia seeds are both powerful natural anti-inflammatories. By reducing the inflammatory burden on your entire body, you are creating an environment for your body to heal itself and operate more efficiently. You might notice improvements not only in your cardiovascular health markers, but also in feeling more comfortable in your joints and having a better functioning immune system. Don't miss our upcoming videos on early warning signs of stroke and effective prevention strategies. This information could help you or someone you love avoid an unexpected and potentially life-threatening event.